Alright, welcome to Gator Junior Golf Coach Training. In this video, we're going to be talking about technical skills of coaching. So in this video, what we're going to be talking about is the basic curriculum concepts. We're going to refer to that, and then the very important questioning process when you're in your small groups. And then some basic positive reinforcement, and then class safety. So we're going to talk about all these different elements and kind of how they all tie together. So to start with the curriculum. So the curriculum, there's another PowerPoint that goes into detail about all of our curriculum. So this video kind of assumes you've taken a look at that. So basically GASP, grip, aim, stance, posture. So everything starts with that, and we try to refer to that always. And so for every golf swing, we're always referring back to the same framework, and so that way we're remaining consistent in exactly what we're teaching. So GASP, that's basically our golf setup. That's basically the word for it. The two D's are distance and direction. So golf can be basically summarized in a golf shot can be summarized in two ways. How far it goes, and then where left or right, where to go, where does it go. And then so what controls our distance? The length of our swing. Okay, so if we make a long swing, it goes far, goes short. If we make a short swing, it goes short. So it's really just as simple as that. And then the club face controls where the ball goes, so where the face is pointing. And then the swing letters, the Y, so that's made with your arms and the club, the Y. And so go ahead and refer to the curriculum PowerPoint if you're interested in kind of visualizing what the Y is. And then the L is where we hinge our wrists. And then the O is just the big swing, the big full swing. Alright, so we always want to refer to the letters because kids really like letters and acronyms. So, GASP is like inhaling, like, so, they like that kind of stuff. Alright, so GASP, two D's, and then the swing letter. Keep it really, really simple. Alright, so the importance of GASP. So before you do anything with, teaching golf, the first thing we gotta do is we gotta get the setup down. They have to look like a golfer. So if they at least look like a golfer, then we've done something right. Alright, so getting them to hit it like a golfer is a very challenging task, and it's not something you can do overnight. But the one thing you can do is you can at least get their setup right, because the setup doesn't require any skill. Setup is just remembering how to do it and then just putting your feet and your hands in the right position. It's just memorizing. So that's why it's so important to emphasize GASP and to get that golf setup down right away in the beginning before we move on to any kind of golf swing concept. All right. So so asking questions is a really good way to teach. And then and when the students think and they try to answer that question and they have to critically think, it's the best way they learn. So if they struggle, we make the students struggle to some degree. That's when the best learning takes place. Okay, so always asking questions about shots. So if a student hits their shot, then and it's a good shot, follow up with a question. And so we'll talk about the questioning process, but that's really important because if you want your students, your small group students, to really get the most out of the session, asking good questions. That's what separates a good coach from just an okay coach. All right. So the questioning process. So what we want to do is we start out with an open-ended question. And I'll give you some examples later on in this PowerPoint. And then we want to follow up with another question. So you ask a very broad question. The student will try to answer. Sometimes they can't answer it. Maybe it's too hard. So what we do is we want to follow up with another question. That's, maybe restate what we originally said, but in a different way. See if they get it. And if they don't get it then we kind of narrow it down a little bit. So we go from broad and then we start narrowing down the question. So that way we try to get the answer we're looking for. All right, so we kind of sort of guide them to the answer, but we want to make them struggle a little bit as we go along this process. All right, and then as we guide them to this process, we want to refer to the concepts that's taught by the lead coach in the curriculum. You know, what controls your distance, your direction, what swing letter, all that good stuff. So refer back to the same concepts when you're questioning. Students really get a lot out of that when you do that. And then and at the end, you know, have them demonstrate. You know, show me a good why or show me a good grip. You know, always doing that. So like if they had a bad shot, tell them to take a practice swing to show them what you do want to do. And so that's kind of this whole process. It's very important to the learning. All right, the question process, mirror imaging. What this means, besides the funny picture, is that you want to say the same phrases that the lead coach is saying. If you're saying the same thing in the exact same way, it's going to really stick. So what controls distance? Long Y, short Y. All the students should have that in, you know, basically you know, burned into their brains, that controlling distance, long Y, short Y, the length of the swing. Okay, if you just say long Y, short Y, they'll know what you're talking about. All right, so very important to repeat those same phrases. All right, the question process. I just mentioned this. You know, open-ended questions, keywords are how, why, what. Those are our key questions that indicates a very broad open-ended question. The follow-up is going to be, all right, we're going to start narrowing it down. Think about it like a funnel. All right, we're trying to funnel them into the answer. We're going to start really broad first. Okay, and then the guided question is going to be like, okay, well, you know, what went wrong with that shot? How do we need to fix our distance? So we've identified our distance went too far. How do we fix distance? How do we make it go shorter? So a guided question would be, how did it go shorter? All right, and then you're referring back to the concepts. All right, so when we're talking about long Y, short Y, okay, I need to make a short Y, and that's the referring back to the concept. Okay, and then to demonstrate, you know, have them tell them to show me a short Y. Show me what a short Y looks like. All right, so that's the question process. Very important to learning. Okay, so here, you know, here's some examples. How was your distance on that shot? And then you know, and then they may or may not be able to answer that, and so then you kind of guide them. All right, so did it go too far or too short? And then they can usually figure that one out. All right, it went too far. If they can't figure it out, make sure you'd be like, all right, my target was here, and then the ball went here. So is that too far or too short? And then they should be able to figure that out. The ball went too far. All right, so then okay, so how do you make that ball go shorter? And then you know the student will respond to whatever, and then what you're trying to get out of them now, we're going to refer back to our concept. Okay, what controls our distance? And then we go long Y, short Y. Okay, and then so we're going to apply this to the next shot. How we fix it? What do we do on the next shot? We want a shorter Y. We want a shorter Y. And then now, okay, show me that shorter Y without a golf ball. Okay, so this is also important. Is that you know, making practice swings without a golf ball. Seems like the golf ball has a mind of its own sometimes, in that it can mess with you. So if you remove the golf ball, students typically do what they're supposed to do when you remove the object that they're trying to hit, and you just try to make the swing. So that's just a little coaching skill. If you do practice swings without balls, that's a new way that a student can try to get down what you're trying to tell them if they're struggling. All right, so that's the process. Positive reinforcement. You know, that, you know, again, here's the process. Asking questions, referring to those key phrases, and then, you know, positive reinforcement, always talking about what's going right with the shot. It's easy, very easy to say what went wrong with the shot. But what I want you guys to focus on is try to pick out the good thing that went right in their shot. You know, if they maybe they hit it way off to the right, but it went really far. And let's say we're on the driving range and we're trying to hit it far. Like, hey, you know, that great job. Your distance was amazing on that. And just really trying to pick out the good in that. So because kids can get really frustrated. Golf is a very hard game. And so it's your job to pick out what is going right and pointing that out, because that is how students stay motivated. And if they're motivated and they're mentally in the game, then they're going to be more likely to learn from what we're teaching. Okay, so don't say don't. We want to avoid the word don't. Sometimes it's necessary to show them what's wrong, to contrast with what's right. But generally, we want to avoid the negative stuff. So, try to avoid if it's a bad shot, try to just pick out the good stuff. And then to reinforce with contact. Physical contact is so incredibly important, to the psychology of students are developing, to give them a high five, a fist bump, whatever, or even like if you want to make some kind of fancy handshake or whatever. But it's important to do that, and to really genuinely mean it, so that way they can remain motivated. All right, so positive reinforcement, that kind of. All right, so don't say don't. Just show them what they do want to do. You always want to be talking about, I want you to do this, because if you start saying don't, then they get confused on. So basically, you always just want to say, just keep your arms straight. You just say you want your arms straight. Not, oh, on that last swing, your elbows were bent. Just say, okay, you want your arms straight. Show me straight arms. All right. So high fives, fist bumps. Okay. Keywords. Keep it simple. All right. If you had always define any possibly complicated terms that you're using. All right, so keep it simple. So, too far, too short. Those are very, very simple words. Demonstrate the wrong way. So sometimes it's good to, like I said, contrast what's a good swing and what's a bad one. Sometimes that's helpful. That's just one tool you can use in your coaching toolkit. Repeated phrases, we talked about that. Clarify simple terms. Some kids don't even know what golf setup means. They don't even know what a setup means. That's to us adults, that sounds very, very simple. As okay, of course students know what that means, but they don't necessarily. So make sure you say gasp means setup. When I say setup, that means gasp. All right. In alignment, like the word alignment is kind of a big word, and they may not, a 6, 7, 8-year-old probably isn't even going to know what alignment means. So you gotta direction, where they know that word, direction. So just be very mindful, is that you might be throwing all these different terms at them, and they may not have any idea what you're saying. So it's important to always define any terms you tell them. Okay, connecting as a coach. All right, so this is just more important than getting your golf set up, more important than getting your why, more important than anything, is to just show them you care. Okay, and so how do you show them you care? Just listen to what they're saying. If they want to tell you how their day is going or where they're going this weekend, just take the time to stop and listen. And if they all want to tell you what their plans are for the weekend, just stop your small group and just talk about that for a second. That's not a big deal. So in the big picture, don't sweat the small stuff. If the kids, want to talk about something unrelated, just show them you care. Give them the time of day. Because above anything, if you show them your care, then when it comes time to actually teaching them something, they're really going to listen. Okay, so that's really, really, really important. And that kind of stuff really sticks with kids, and they're going to remember you, when they're 20 years old, when they're 40 years old, they're going to remember the impact you had because you cared. All right. Okay. So some common mistakes that we see, talking about more than one fundamental. So don't try to digress on all these different. Don't try to work on swing plane or anything crazy with the kids. Keep it. If the lead coach is telling you one thing, just work on that one thing. So if we're working on distance, don't worry about direction. All right, don't worry about direction. So focus on the same thing. Um, and so what we like to say is in our coach trainings is your attention needs to equal your intention. And so if you're intending to work on distance, then only talk about distance for the shot. So the student hits a shot, only point out the distance characteristics for the shot. Don't tell them, oh, that went too far to the left or to, no, you're focusing on the distance. So if your eyes are downrange, the student's focus is also going to be downrange. So if you're talking about distance, your eyes need to be going downrange. Whereas if we're working on balance, your eyes need to be on their body and not at the ball, because your focus should be on the balance. So your intention is to work on balance. Your attention needs to be focusing on their body. And then, like I just said, if your intention is to work on direction, distance, then your attention is going to be downrange at how far the ball is going, okay? So that's really important to maintaining the proper learning process, okay? So always ask questions. Very important to always follow up, especially on the good shots, okay? Especially on the good shots. Make sure you ask the question. Follow up with a question, because it's really, the kid's gonna be really excited when they hit a good shot, and that's a perfect learning opportunity, because their emotions are aroused and they're going to be very likely to listen to what you have to say. And if you follow up with a question right after they hit a good shot, they're going to remember it, okay? All right, so that's that. And then class safety, we pretty much have to emphasize this in every single video. Class safety. Let's go back to our picture here. So class safety, blue cones. These are our T markers. T box right here. T box. This is where we hit. Danger zone right here in between the T markers and the safety zone. Do not walk here. Do not have any students walk through here. All right. This is where we're swinging. All right. So what happens sometimes is if the student's too far back here, that someone walks through here, they're gonna get hit. Okay, so this is a safety zone. We do cane position. All right, so Thomas right here is not doing cane position. You flip the club upside down when we're in when we're in the safety zone. We do not swing back here. If we need to go to the water cooler, we walk behind the safety zones. All right, we do not walk here to go get water. If we gotta walk to get water, we walk behind the safety zones. All right, and we do use cane position at all times. All right, we have to really emphasize safety. Okay. All right, so common safety violations. Student goes and retrieves a ball. All right, they get really excited. They hit a good shot and it goes in the hole, and then they want to run out and go to get the ball out of the hole. All right, if that happens without any warning, you gotta yell freeze to everybody. You gotta be very, you gotta be very loud, and you gotta tell everybody immediately to stop, because that's a very dangerous situation. Have a kid in front of where everybody else is hitting towards. Okay. All right. And if you need more balls, just speak up. Just tell the lead coach, hey, I need more balls. All right. Tunnel vision. Always keeping your head on a swivel. Always be looking back at your safety, at your group. If you don't always, pay attention to these guys. These guys are going to try to get away with whatever they want to get away with. And so, but if your eyes are constantly looking at them, there's a saying, people respect what you inspect. So if you're constantly inspecting them, they're going to respect the cane position. All right. If you're constantly inspecting that. So always inspect. All right. Okay. So yeah, cane position, tunnel vision, and another thing is, coach safety is important. This kid is swinging behind coach here, and we don't want coach to get hurt. We don't want coach to get hit by another student swinging a golf club. So if always keep your eyes around. If you notice the students too close, then you need to change something. Okay. All right. So keep your head on a swivel. All right. Cane position, safety zone. Some special situations. All right, if you don't know what to do, All right, how do you find out the answer? You tell the lead coach. All right, if you don't know what to do or you have a question about something, just ask. Just ask. Just like the students, we tell the students to ask a question. If you have a question, don't feel afraid, but there's always tell the lead coach. Okay. All right. And then coach rewards. We like to treat our coaches well, and we appreciate your help and we appreciate your time. And as a result, we really, really want to help you guys out. So we try to get you free golf at the golf courses, Domino's pizza vouchers, and then we'll get you some golf shirts and a hat. And because we really, really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to help the kids in our program. And just remember that you probably remember the kids that you had, or I mean, when you were a kid, that you had a coach when you played a sport. Maybe it was golf, maybe it was basketball or baseball, but you remember the coach that cared and took the time to help you, even though you were struggling. These kids are going to remember you, all right, if you give them the time of day, and you are, and so we really appreciate that. And so it's very rewarding for both the student but also as a coach. So we thank you again for becoming a junior golf coach with our program. And this concludes this coach training video.